One. Hey, folks, it's Doug Blake with Body Design University. It's great to have you all on board. And by the way, hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Hey, Doug.
Excited to get started because in this video this week we already started in chapter 1, and we're going to finish through on the most important components of chapter 1 that you will need to know in order to pass the NASM exam itself. Guys, not a lot of material in chapter 1, but it's actually pretty good to kind of peruse through it. Last week we talked about the fundamental way we deal with all of these chapters to move through the materials fairly quickly, right? We go to the back of the chapter, we look for the chapter highlights first. We try to kind of crush and kind of squeeze down the amount of information we're trying to remember using those chapter highlights. And then we go to the front of the chapter and we start kind of rummaging through it. When we see words in the side panel, right, it's probably good to look at those words and kind of understand them. You could try to memorize them, so to speak, but it's a good idea to look at them, understand what they mean. Then as we go through each of these chapters, in this case, chapter 1, as we go page by page, basically we are looking for tables and charts, mainly, because that's where the majority of the information on the exam is going to be. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. So,
Makes sense.
all right. Now remember, if you got questions, go ahead and throw them out at me. I am going to share my screen. And here we go. Okay, so, and of course, I've got the actual online textbook. It's just something that is helpful when I do these type of teaching. So, guys, when you get into chapter 1, last week we talked about how to use the end of the chapter, the study review, the summary review, and then I've pulled us back to the beginning of the chapter. Now, when it comes to testing, this is really where you're going to start the materials. What NASM wants you to understand, and they put a lot of emphasis on their integrated training model, or their OPT model, optimum performance training. Okay, right from chapter 1, you're going to see this throughout the entire 23 chapters. So it's a really good idea to memorize the phases and the levels. Does everybody see this? Got to remember this, because you will be asked a fair number of questions about repetition range, sets, things like that related to the levels. And there are 3 levels in the OPT model. Level 1 is stabilization. And this is like you're taking notes. You just got to get this into memory. Level 2 is strength, and level 3 is power. NASM will explain all of this. It'll explain it to death. They do a really good job, by the way. They'll explain all of this in later chapters. Okay. Now, the levels themselves actually are broken into what are known as phases. Now, I will say this. It's really easy to memorize this because level 1, stabilization, and level 3, power, they each only have one phase anyway. Got it? It just so happens that level 2 has 3 phases. Does that make sense? Let me get off of this. Yep. Level 1 is what?
One phase stability.
One phase.
Stabilization. And it has 1 phase.
Okay.
Level 2 is what?
Strength.
Three phases.
And it has 3 phases. And level 3 is what?
One
phase.
Power with 1 phase. So I know you guys get into this and you're like, oh my God, so much information. No. Don't let that get to you. Again, I want you to understand certain things and why chapter 1 is important. And this is probably, to be honest with you, the most important material that you're going to see in chapter 1. So the OPT model, right? What do you see over to the right side of your screen?
The global state of health.
What's right here? Y'all can see
I'm sorry,
my screen.
the right side?
Yes, your terms. And folks, you know that in the NASM exam study that Body Design University has, these terms are all located in your Quizlet study classroom. Okay. So they want you to know some very simple terms. What is the musculoskeletal system? It is the combined interworking system of muscles and bones, right? I don't need to read them all to you. You should know what it means to be deconditioned because 99% of all your clients are going to be deconditioned, right? But
Yeah.
you do need to know the concept, right? A state of low level of physical fitness. Overweight, okay? You're not overweight because you look chunky. That's not overweight. There's an actual definition to overweight. What is it?
Body
A
mass.
body weight greater than what is considered within normal standards
Body mass index.
of
Yep.
25 to
25
29.9.
to 30.
You must
No,
know BMI.
29.9.
25.0 to 29.9.
29.
What is the next level after overweight at 30
Obesity.
BMI? Obesity.
Obesity.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're just explaining this to you. They're just giving you something to start chewing on. You should know by the time you get to some of these later chapters, this stuff is memorized down pat. Muscle imbalances, which is what's going to help you to understand overactive and underactive muscles when you get to chapters 11 and 12 with the assessments. And what is a muscle imbalance? It's when muscles on each side of a joint have what's the term?
Altered length tension relationships.
They're not going to tell you about that in chapter 1. But you better write that down because you're going to need to know what that means and you're going to need to understand how to answer questions based on that concept. And that's just chapter 1. They're giving you,
That's chapter 6.
they're saying, hey, y'all better just start preparing yourself. Joint stability. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
this is all part of chapter 1, and they're going to now tell you that in order to address any of the physical, right, psychological needs, you have to keep in mind the following forms of training. You need to know, you need to memorize. This is why in chapter 1, you should have written these down. Flexibility, mobility, great. Core strength and stability. Cardio, balance, plyo, speed, SAQ training, we call it, right? SAQ, speed, agility, quickness, and resistance. Okay. Now, of course, they're going to give you some quizzes, but we're going to get past that. And now they're going to give you a little bit of a backstory, kind of about the global state of health. Got it?
Yeah.
I'm always looking for figures, tables, and charts. Here you have figure 1.3, the spectrum of health. I don't think this is too challenging. Has anybody got a challenge trying to understand this? Right?
No.
No, there's a spectrum.
No.
We go from death. By the way, that's not good for business as a trainer. People dying on, we don't want that. Death all the way up to what would be considered positive health. Some people would say athletes. Not necessarily, but some people would say that. And this is just chapter 1. Now, what do we do whenever we see blue on the
Training
side
tip.
panels? You got to look at it and understand the concept. Socioeconomic status, basically.
Write it down.
I would write it down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is morbidity?
The
Does anybody
state
know?
of having a disease.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, you're just like reading it, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm reading it. Yeah.
That's all right. Gio, that's cool.
That's
the
the way
state.
it's part of reciting for me.
Have you all ever
gotta
heard
recite.
of the concept of a comorbidity? Yes or no?
No.
No.
You've never heard of that your doctor. Who's been to the doctor recently? You don't know what a comorbidity is.
Guys, most guys don't go to the doctors enough.
Yeah, exactly. So a morbidity is what? A disease.
State
So
of having a disease.
if you have diabetes, just as a for instance, what would be a comorbidity of diabetes? Hypertension.
I was taking the blood pressure here.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, that makes sense.
These are called comorbidities.
That makes total sense.
Okay. So by the way, I use diabetes as a great example because that's like the disease from hell because there's lots of comorbidities that go along with. What's mortality?
Death.
The state or a
Or
risk of death or dying. So there's morbidity and mortality. Got it?
yep.
By the way, being educated on this material can be very helpful when you're talking to clients. Believe it or not. What is homeostasis?
The process by which the human body strives to maintain a relatively
Stable equilibrium. Got it? Again, chapter 1 is giving you information that you will need to know later on as we move through it. So, guys, what I would do also is make sure you're reading all of these little boxes in here, the training tips. Not a bad idea just to read it. Doesn't take you more than a couple of seconds to read it. The stretch your knowledge box
I read all of it.
are really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Mitzi, right?
Yeah.
These are really
Every time
helpful.
I read that, every time I read those things, they're always helpful to me.
Acute versus chronic disease.
Yeah.
Gives you a basic understanding of what we deal with as personal trainers. It really does. And most of your clients are going to have acute or chronic diseases. The average American has at least one, probably more, chronic diseases. That is the big issue today, isn't it? The chronic disease crisis. Okay, so again, you're getting some interesting information here. Just I'm not sure how accurate these are any longer. This textbook came out in 2020 or 2021. I don't remember what edition.
2021.
Is it 2021? So you're already 4 years. I'm sure they're pretty similar, guys. So again, y'all see how fast I'm moving through chapter 1? This is literally how fast you move through it. So now they're going to get in what they call lesson 3. A risk factor is any attribute, characteristic, or exposure that increases the likelihood of developing a disease or injury. Have you heard you have different risk factors for developing heart disease? You have risk factors.
I had a friend that had that.
So this is what the medical community looks at. It doesn't mean you are going to get the disease. It simply means that you are at a higher risk. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
If you have a, guys and ladies, by the way, Mitzi, you as well, if you had a parent or a grandparent that died or had a heart attack, anybody? If you have had a parent, brothers, you have a genetic risk factor. It does not mean you are going to get heart disease. That's not how it works. But the risk factor means that your chances of getting that disease have been increased. Do you smoke? If you smoke, is smoking a risk factor for any disease?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Duh. Yeah. Lung disease, heart disease. So what a doctor will tell you is that I'm not telling you you will get emphysema. I'm not saying you will automatically develop cardiac issues if you smoke. But what is the doctor going to tell you? Your chances, your risk of getting it is significantly higher. Which means what? Now let's look at risk factors, because you definitely want to talk to your clients about risk factors. But what can you now tell your client who smokes? If you stop smoking, tell them to quit. Give them a slap in the head. No, don't do that. You tell them that if they quit, what happens to their risk of developing pulmonary diseases, coronary diseases? Their risk goes down.
It
decreases the risk of it. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Here is another good stretch your knowledge box to read. Overweight and obesity. By the way, NASM will go into this more as you get into the later chapters, and particularly, I think it's chapter 17. I forgot, but it's between 16 and 19, these chapters where they go way, way deeper into special populations, and obesity is one of those. But it's a good idea that you read this and get some basic information before you move on to those later chapters. Here is your BMI classification table. You do not have to memorize the table. The most important ones you should memorize are these two, obesity and overweight, and they're connected to each other, right?
Yeah.
I think after you've memorized those, it'll be a lot easier to kind of know on a question on an exam these guys, these two, and the lower ones. So my recommendation is, what is overweight? Give me the numbers. Give me the numbers for technical or clinically overweight. What are the numbers?
BMI of 25 to 29.9.
Very good. What is obesity?
30.
30.0 and higher.
To
So now you're there.
34.9. Yeah.
Get it? Now we know that there are 3 levels of obesity. So if it's 30 and higher, we can put those into 3 separate grades. Level 1, level 2, level 3, right? And you can memorize those numbers. They are easy enough, guys, if you write them down a couple of times. Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Any questions so far in any of this? I hope not. You should know what cholesterol is, a waxy fat-like substance found in bodily cells. Cholesterol is not a disease. There's nothing wrong with cholesterol. Your body produces more cholesterol in the liver than you could ever eat in a day. Cholesterol is healthy. It is a healthy, necessary substance in your body. Just stop there and don't go too crazy on your HDL, LDL, triglyceride stuff. Okay? Nothing on this page. See what I just did? I looked at a page and I saw nothing. I don't need to necessarily read the critical box, but I would. Okay? Then move on to the next page. What do we have? Give me the technique now, guys. What do we do first? We look over to the right and we look at our definitions. Does everybody know what a stroke is? Does everybody know what a heart attack is? Everybody know what heart failure, heart valve issues, arrhythmias, ischemic heart disease, arterial sclerosis.
Yes.
Y'all got that?
Yeah.
Okay, Clarence.
Yeah. These are all heart problems for sure.
Does this make sense? So now that you've done this, you look at these words. Do you know what they mean? Write them down if you're struggling with it. And then, of course, if you want to look at your little figure, I like to look at figures. That's cool. But that's about it, because all this page is doing is explaining these definitions. I just want to get the definitions down. And then I move on to the next page. Tell me what to do, guys. Now, what do? I just move to the next page. What do I do?
Definition.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Does everybody know what hypertension is, what systolic blood pressure is, and what diastolic is? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Systolic, top. Diastolic, bottom. Okay. Helpful hints. Sure, you can read those. Hypertension, critical concept that they will talk about in later chapters, which means you can peruse through this, know what the definition is, and then read the stretch for knowledge box, and that'll be helpful. There is nothing here that is technically difficult to memorize. It's rote memorization. Now, what I want to make sure you guys do memorize are these numbers right here. Y'all got this?
Yeah.
Now, again, NASM will give you the new numbers from the American Heart Association, new numbers that have come out. That's what these numbers are, but they'll give it to you in a chart, and you do need to know those numbers, not just for your own personal. I mean, for testing, yes, but definitely for your own personal edification, you need to know those numbers.
Yep.
They give you a little information on cholesterol. If I don't see side panel words, I know I'm going to be moving on quickly, and I'm just going to read to stretch your knowledge. And here they're going to talk to you about the good and bad cholesterol. Take it with a grain of salt. Okay. I'm not sure they're going to ask you any questions about that on your exam, but you never know. Like I say, you might get 2 or 3 questions from chapter 1. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chapter 1, again, you're going to need to know about diabetes. You're going to need to know what glucose is, insulin resistance, and cancer. They are going to talk about these later on. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
See how
Yeah.
fast I'm moving through this.
Gotcha.
COPD, you've got to know the definition of it, and you need to understand how you train people with COPD. Now, they throw endorphins in there, but that's just hormones. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Move on. And there's some, again, this is, they give you these questions. Okay, their lesson 4, evidence of muscular dysfunction and increased injury. What do I do? 1, 2, 3. The most important thing about chapter 1 right now is for you to memorize some basic terminology that's going to help you when you get onto the later chapters. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Patella tendonitis, ACL tears, and medial collateral, and they also have lateral collateral. We don't see too many of the lateral collaterals, but we do see medial collateral ligament tears. The LPHC complex, probably the single most important area of the body from a testing perspective to know, because this is going to help you when it comes to the overactive and underactive muscles, which is where you will see probably 15 to 20 or more questions just on that concept alone. Does that make sense? So please do not read. Don't read this. You don't need to. Okay, you don't need to. They only have one word, shoulder impingement syndrome. They're going to show this to you anyway later on. And look, we're done with lesson 4, what they call lesson 4. Healthcare continuum. Here you have a little figure. Not necessary to memorize that. Allied health professionals. This is not a bad area to kind of know and memorize. PTs, athletic trainers, chiropractors. I'm pretty sure y'all know these anyway. RDs, registered dietitian, nutritionists, and then LMTs, or licensed massage therapists. Okay, those are our fellow workers in the health and fitness realm, so to speak. And then they have us. Don't necessarily read this. You can just move on. It just gives you a little bit of info. And look at that. I'm already done with lesson 5. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
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 Now look, for those of you, and next week we'll finish that up and I'll be able to move into chapter 2. Does anybody have any questions on chapter 1? Anything in
Not
there?
right now.
I wouldn't think so. Folks, again, chapter 1 is just a way of getting your brain, equating some of these words and terms that they're going to throw at you more in depth as you go through the chapters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this helpful today? Yes?
Yeah.
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 By
Most
the way, if you have not subscribed to our NASM channel, please do so. If you can go into the BDU channel as well and access all of the materials and information that we provide and do here at Body Design University related to the NASM exam. If it was helpful, please write the word understand in the comment section. If you have more questions about what we've gone over in this particular video, please go ahead and write that in there. Guys, did you have a good time doing this? Was it helpful? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Folks, have a great rest of the day, and we will talk later. Okay, thanks.
All right, Doug. Thank you.